Brought to you by Knights of Awakening. This is the Labyrinth. It's been a little while. I've had a lot of things on my plate to deal with. Everything from performing magic as a professional, to writing my book, to just dealing with things in life. Dealing with a little bit of a mystical combat situation that came up. And the nature of that is every day this video's got pushed back further and further. And I really don't like pushing videos back. You know, I wanted to have this one out a lot sooner. The topic today is going to cover some Norse mysticism that I use and some particular methods that I make use of myself, and some questions that were asked of me, and a little bit of an explanation as to the what and where and why I do things the way I do, and what the advantages there are of. And I think it'll be enlightening for you to see a little bit of how I do what I do, and why I do what I do when I do it. So, we're going to pull back the curtain on the wizard, as it were, and reveal the truth and nature of some of this, and by answering some questions that were asked. You know, I want to thank all of you first for joining us. It's been a while, and I apologize for that, but I'm still here, and I'm still kicking, and I'm still enjoying it, I'm still loving it. A lot of you I've still been in contact with in private. A lot of you only know me through the videos and don't really know me as well to have a conversation with. So, you know, to let you know I'm doing pretty good. Definitely enjoying things. We had someone ask if I get enough vitamins because of the dark circles under my eyes. And that's actually genetic. There's no amount of vitamins to do it. I could do certain skin treatments, but these were something my mother had. And I tend to kind of relish having the dark circles at this point. They remind me of her. So I don't really do anything to try to get rid of those, nor do I do anything to put them on. I've yet to wear any makeup on video, so that you know. So my methods of mysticism, well, one of the first things someone asked me, they said, that Thor necklace you wear, is that your weapon of choice? Yeah, kind of it is. This is it's meant as more of a protective charm. It's meant as a show of faith. It's meant as a connection to Thor, though I would never need a Mjolnir to have that connection. Quite frankly, you know, I've got the tattoo on my arm, and even without that, I never needed anything to have a connection before. That's kind of a new thing, I guess, in terms of my practices, meaning in the past 3 or 4 years, that I started even caring about having a Mjolnir. And for me, it's a way of proudly displaying who I am and what I am. But it's also that I put quite a bit of defensive work into this, because frankly, it's necessary. And originally it was meant to hold some of my energy back, because I've been known to bleed over a bit onto people when I'm excited or around people that help inspire me. I tend to overload and amp up a lot. And with that, you know, I really want to make it clear, I am not the world's most powerful wizard out there. I consider myself one of the best because I have such a good success track record that I've been able to help so many people, and I've had so few failures, but there have been failures. I consider myself very capable only because I've seen what I can do when I need to do it. And a lot of people are in better places because of that. And I really think that anyone can do what I do. It's all a matter of focus, will, and intensity. And you've heard me say it before, and you're going to hear me say it again. In fact, yeah, if you check out my book when it comes out, you're going to get to read it. There's no getting around it. That is the nature of what magic is. I just have honed my focus very severely. I have a lot of willpower, so much so that if my body starts to get overloaded from using energy, I tend to not pay attention to those warning signals, and that's why I seem so powerful. For the people that do think that I'm a powerhouse, I don't care when my body's giving out in the middle of something. I just kind of say, well, it had to go sometime, and I don't allow that to impact what I'm doing with my magic. I just keep pressing them through. So I really think that may be where people get this misconception. And this used to actually help hold some of that back, because I do emit a lot of energy. I'm a very vocal person, and that pours out a lot of energy into the environment. I tend to project magic with my voice, whether I intend to or not, and it used to act as a limiter, and now it acts more as a protective shield, as I've kind of realized that while I may be overwhelming to some people, that might be okay. That maybe it's not a bad thing to overwhelm people when you meet them with the rawness of who you are. It is something just to self-monitor and self-control, and you certainly don't need an amulet to do it for you. The next question that came up, so yeah, it is kind of my weapon of choice. I can focus energy through it offensively and defensively. It's a major focal point for me in most of my ritual work, and it's a good reminder of the gods. Well, at least one of them in particular. Again, not that I need a reminder. But the next question was this. Someone noticed in one of the videos I was wearing my Norse Mala. Norse Mala? You know, of course that has 72 or 108 beads right now. Negative. It has 81 beads, and that is because 9 times 9 is 81. And the concept within that was to have 9 realms within 9 realms. And that's what this represents, is the 9 realms within the 9 realms. Meaning that you have the realms for which all things exist, but that these things exist within us. So within each realm, there's also another 9 realms. And it's also in that a concept of infinity and the idea of what infinity means. Normally, I take this off when I'm using it in any kind of ritual work, so I have to take my headset off. I hope this doesn't blow the sound quality up, but we're going to find out. Okay, I don't think I blew anyone up yet, so that's good. I always try not to blow up my listeners. This is the Mala, and this is kind of an infinity sign. Yeah. Represents infinity for me in some ways. And when I work with it, when I use it for mantra work or things of that nature, I do my mantra and pull a bead. And I do the mantras usually internally. That's why I've said I really don't want to do a video with a full ritual, because full rituals oftentimes have me sitting there in deep focus for, anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, depending on what I'm doing. And there's a lot of active prep work. Sometimes a ritual takes 15 minutes, but it takes an hour to get everything just right so that you can do the ritual. And honestly, that would just be you watching me run around and figure out how to get a poem exactly right to pull forth the right influences. And a lot of that's instinctual. And a lot of people don't understand that it takes a tremendous amount of creative force to do that. And it's why I'm a professional in it, because I not only have the ability, but the will and the time to do it. And it's not always an easy job. In fact, most of the time, I'm able to perform no more than 1 or 2 rituals in a day without being exhausted. And then I've got to take a day off. And I can sometimes do 2 or 3 days in a row like that. But eventually, I've got to take some kind of rest. I've been known to go for as long as 7 days in a row. We call that being stupid. And I've been called that before too, and I earn it at times. So, a little more about this Mala, and what is it, how do I use it? Well, Mala is beads on a string. But these are beads on a string specifically for Norse purposes. The question comes up if I can explain more about this Mala and what it is. I've kind of done that. And what gods I use it for. I use it with all of the gods, but I don't always use it with all of the gods. I use it in any situation which I have to reinforce my focus towards a task in a way that amplifies my energy and over which I'm going to need a longer period of time to do it. Which kind of gets us into what benefit does the Mala have over everything else? Well, the benefit of the Mala over directed focusing techniques or raw meditation or raw energy work is that it allows you to focus your mind on a physical task, and it allows the verbal part of your mind, which is where that voice comes in that distracts you. So this is very useful if I'm tired or exhausted. It allows that to be quieted because you're focusing on something else. So many times you can actually go through your mantra and you'll still have other thoughts coming in, but you're aware that you're doing a mantra, so those thoughts get quieted a lot quicker. You know, the bane of all mysticism is having your mind misdirected off of what you're doing. And when it gets misdirected, you don't achieve, you don't manifest. Focus is one of those key and important parts. And this is a focusing aid. But it's focusing aid I've used so much it's gained some energy from the use. It syncs up with my own personal energies and acts as an amplifier. So that every time I use it in a ritual, all rituals that I've done with it kind of echo through in terms of energy, not necessarily intent. Speaking of intent, I use a mantra with it quite frequently, and its English equivalent would be health, wealth, harmony, security. I don't use the English equivalent because it doesn't rhyme, and it gives me a headache to mantra something like that that doesn't rhyme all that well. Why do I use this? Because health, wealth, harmony, and security are the things that you want in life. And any spell work I'm doing, this is drawing on concepts of a current of these things, of a power, and I want to focus that into it. If it's, prosperity, love, sexual magic works, anything of that nature, you want that person to have health. You want them to have a wealth of what is being done. You want it to be harmonious, and you want them to be secure and safe for the working. So it's a really great little mantra. That's the English version of it. Fe vit frev grev hail is the Norse version of it, which I believe it goes back to Scandinavian, but maybe Norwegian. And if we have a native Scandinavian or Norwegian speaker, they'll go, yeah, that's what it means. And it's a little chant that, from my understanding, has been passed down quite a bit. It's considered a type of golden magic or a form of word magic because of the order the words are said in. And I guess that would mean because in their society it was better to have health than it was to have anything, wealth being the next most important thing. And then after that, harmony was something you'd seek after, and security, if you could get it. But in a world where there's always war, you didn't focus on it. And I think that's kind of why it cascades in that way. This, for those that don't fully understand what I just said there, the chant allows me, because I'm subconsciously focusing on those words, and I'm subconsciously focusing on those ideas. Fe vit frev grev hail. Subconsciously focusing on the ideas behind those words, I'm engaging parts of my mind that would otherwise be there trying to figure other things out about daily problems and tasks. So if I can't focus, this becomes an amazing focusing aid. And I can't recommend something like this enough in your practices. But it's also a meditative aid because I can use it to count down certain phrases in meditation. Again, being Norse, I don't use 108, I use 81. And with the 81 beads, that means I'm not doing things quite traditionally with it. So I'm aware of that, but I still use the Om Mani Padme Hum, and this is where we get into, could I use this as a meditation? Yes, you could sit there, and I've used it as a meditation just for the focusing purpose. Fe vit frev grev hail, Fe vit frev grev hail, Fe vit frev grev hail. Do you really want to watch me do this on camera? It takes somewhere between 5 and 7 minutes to go through this thing, and that's going at full speed in my head so that I don't have to engage the vocal processes. I picked this up from Papa Hood. Actually, he explained to me the value of mantras and malas, and we picked some things back and forth, and he said, you need a Norse mantra. And I looked at him and I said, the Norse didn't have mantras. We didn't have prayers, we didn't have a religion, we just hit things with axes. Ha 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 ha. No, we did have prayers and we did have mantras, and I didn't say that to him. What I did say, and by the way, his current nom de plume, writing name, is Nagloki Shivanoff, and he's recently released a book which Justin is going to get an interview with him at some point. That has been foretold in the cards, I believe. So that'll be very interesting, very cool to get to see, to get an interview and to discuss some of this. So, I started looking. I typed in, Norse mantra. I used the power of the internet and came up with this. Did a little research on it. Couldn't find the origins of it. I'm pretty sure it goes back to Icelandic. Like I said, it's Icelandic, Scandinavian, or Norwegian. I know it's old, at least according to the sources I could find. And maybe it's something people made up. I know the words do translate into what they mean if you go through a Norse dictionary, you know. And for a mantra, I can't really ask for much more. Did our people use it? Maybe. They may have used the runes too. Jury's still out on all of this, and trying to claim that you know what was done and how it was done is stupid, and I don't intend to insult your intelligence or mine. So, why the mala, why the mantras? The other mantra that I like to use with this one, other than the Om Mani Padme Hum, other than Favit Fredgreth Hail, I do a different mantra where I normally am spinning my staff, which I can't show you this on camera. That sounds so bad. I can't show you me spinning my staff on camera because I don't have room set up to do this properly. But basically, I take the staff end over end and spin it while chanting, Odin hear my call, Odin hear my plea, Odin hear my call faithfully. And then Odin. And it is a way for me to connect with that God as a flow, as a power, as a being. And when there are times when I specifically want to do exactly 81 chants, I put the staff down because I don't have 3 hands and there's no other way for me to spin that staff. And I take this and I go, Odin hear my call, Odin hear my plea, Odin hear my call faithfully. And I'm saying this very clearly for you to hear it. I'll do it once. And sometimes the words do change up a little bit. And that's a funny thing with mantras. Sometimes you'll find words changing. I've done a 4-hour Favit Fredgreth Hail with this for a client to help them with focusing towards wealth at one point. And it was very difficult because I had to keep a set of coins on one side and then a jar on the other, and I'd pull a coin out after each rotation on the mala with the mantra and put it in the next for 4 solid hours. And at the end of it, I swear to you, I heard coins going cling in the other jar after I drop them, which I'll attribute that to Loki because he enjoys having, you know, pranks and practical jokes attributed to him. I'm going to show you the proper intonation of the chant that I use. This is not really that complex, but it's one that has served me since, I want to say 2010-ish, 2012-ish. I've been using it forever. Well, I will get in the proper mind frame. You're going to get to see me in my natural environment on camera, so it's going to feel a little weird. So I really hope I don't screw this up, but you know what? We'll do it live. Odin. Odin. Odin hear my call, Odin hear my plea, Odin hear my call faithfully. Odin hear my call, Odin hear my plea, Odin hear my call faithfully. Odin, Odin. And that is what I do when I'm doing my chant work for Odin. I use this to count it out for 81 times, and it absorbs some of that. I have no idea how that looked on camera, and I hope I don't look like a giant jackass just, you know, yelling Odin. But hey, if I do, so what, right? That is as close as you're going to get to a full ritual, because a lot of times after that's done, what follows is me communing with Odin after I feel his presence, speaking with him, trying to get some sense of what it is he's telling me to do, or what he wants for an offering to achieve something, or even just getting his okay on something, you know, knowing that he's there to work with me in the task that I do. A lot of what follows looks like this. We could do this all day, by the way. Be a real long video. Give you like 30 minutes of this one day. I think we'll do that. Brought to you by Knights of Awakening. Charles sits in front of the camera and doesn't move. No, we're not going to do that. I only do that if I'm in ritual or if I'm meditating or focusing. And I only do that for you if I'm in ritual, meditating, or focusing for something for you. So putting that on camera, no. But this gives you one of the pieces of one of the things that I use. Why does it work for me? Because I feel a very strong connection with that God. Because I feel a strong connection to his name in that way. Something resonates with the name Odin, and you draw on that current. And we don't even know, when Odin became the high god. We just know that, we're pretty sure Tyr was first, and then Heimdall before that, or maybe Heimdall, after. And it is such a cluster of chucks, as it were, running around right there, that, we know the current that these things are, though. And when you start trying to get into proof and things like that of this, that, or the other, you just make yourself look like an idiot. So I'm not going to do that to you. Instead, I'm going to show you some of the method and explain the why. And what this does, it draws my focus to a single point. And I don't know if you could see that in the chant. I'm pretty sure you could, because other people have seen the chant, and they're like, wow, you get really intense. And I'm like, no, that's not as intense as I get. That is grade 2 of intense. I would say, Favit, Frev, Grev, Hail, Favit, Frev, Grev, Hail, done within my own mind and not chanting it, because it seems to work better for that. I don't know why. Because some things work better when you do them internal. Some things work better when you do them external. And you'll know that through practice, what works best for you and what things. But that would be, I guess, what we call grade 1 of what I do. And then the Odin chant would be grade 2. And grade 3 is even less impressive than those two, because that's me going on a shamanic journey, which to the outside observer, I look like I'm taking a really nice siesta. But this goes through some of my methods. These aren't the only things I do. I use a lot of rune work and rune focusing work with this. I call upon a lot of other gods than just Odin, that's for sure. I often use a lot of poetry work with this. So I told you we were going to explore some practical methods. And this is practical. This is how I do it. And all of those things are useful to help you build your method. But don't do it just like I do, because it's not going to work if you do it just like I do. Instead, take and build with them and grow with them. We'll call this a free little lesson in the basics of magic. Something to help get you started if you've been having trouble building your practice. Do some poetry, build some mantras, and focus. Raw intensity, focus, willpower. Those are what it boils down to. You got those, you got magic, you got everything. You don't got those, you got pretty books. And interesting symbols. And I'm putting out a book that's going to be very pretty, with some very pretty symbols in it. And it still is not going to make you into a wizard. Only you can do that. Only you can do that. And I want to see you do it, because I feel that I'm not the most gifted person out there. I know I've got a natural raw power about me, and I've been told that. But I look at myself and I think that I'm very weak in the grand scheme of things. I'm not the strongest man out there. And I recognize that. If a weak man like me can do amazing things with his magic, then you out there can do better than I can even possibly imagine. And I want to see you do it. I want to see you grow and gain and do better that way. And that's what it means to awaken the night within in another. So I'm hoping that we did that today. Awaken the night within.